Hey everybody, it is Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I'm your host, Ben Cross, and I am joined by one of my favorite people. You always make me happy whenever I talk to you, William. William Taylor. William
Hey, the
Taylor from
feeling,
Relocity.
brother. You always bring the positivity and the love and the relo. And, I love my Detroit connection with you. We're going to talk Detroit in a moment here, but thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah,
Long,
so
long time
little
fan,
known,
first time caller.
and we
Long time
appreciate
listener.
that. Little known fact though, William, you're a big Bay Area guy. Former
Yeah,
president of BAM, Bay Area Mobility Management
yeah,
Association,
yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah, mobility management.
but you started this long journey in a place far away, Michigan.
Yeah, that's right. 313, 8 Mile, baby. I did indeed. I was born and raised I was born in Detroit, but I was raised in the suburbs. But my parents were born and raised in Detroit. Lots of family and friends. My sisters still live back there, Royal Oak and Berkeley area. And
Yeah.
I am a lifelong Detroit Lions fan, which is like the hardest job in sports. You know that. Although you're
I,
like a Dallas
I'm a
Cowboys fan.
Cowboys fan.
Let's not talk NFL. It's
We them
canceled.
boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the D. The people you meet from Detroit just have a lot of heart. They love their hometown. I just think they have a lot of hometown pride, and so that's where I'm at, man. I never give up on the D.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm over here checking on LinkedIn right now, seeing if this sent out a notification. It looks like it did because we have some good engagement here. Okay, we got a bunch of people filtering in. Come
All
on
right,
in, guys. Come on.
come on in, peeps.
It's
Let's
free.
do this.
It's fun. You ain't got nothing else to do. Come on in.
We're gonna chatter. We're gonna share some learnings.
Go ahead now. Here, I got like
Yeah.
24 people, 25 people on LinkedIn right now.
Okay.
Go ahead and drop in a comment right now. You know the deal. There's two things I ask.
Okay.
Please drop a comment. Let me know who you are, where you're from. Give your company a little shout out. We'll go ahead and plug you. And then also hit that comment or that celebration button down there in the bottom right. Let me know you're feeling it. That's all I ask. That's the price of admission. Drop that down there and let me know. And then we will go ahead and give you shout outs and kind of go through, do a little roll call. So let me know you're watching here. Otherwise, I don't know you're there and people kind of lurking, observing. So let me know you're out there. And then also, we're going to take questions for William or myself. And William, I know a lot of people love listening to you. I first heard you speak, so I'm going to go back to where I first met you
Okay.
because I remember this day. Okay.
You wrote about it in your diary. I did.
I did. I
Your
did.
diary. I met Ben Cross today. Gosh, is he dreamy? He was wearing a tie.
This light does a lot for my eyes, though.
though.
I'm not going to lie.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Are those
Um,
contacts, or are they always like that emerald green? Or that's they're dreamy. Either way, I'm good.
It was BAM, my first BAM conference. You were the president, so you were kind of the host, you
Yep.
know. And I was just like really. I'm not gonna bullshit you here. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, wow, this guy's really well spoken. He does a very nice job of weaving funny in with smart, and I think that's such a great balance. And I think you nail that. And I've seen you speak a couple times after that at ERC, where you
Thanks,
did an
man.
Ignite session, and I just love that. I just love that vibe.
Well,
So
hey, man. Life is all about positivity and putting smiles on people's faces. And we are fortunate to work in this industry where we get to live out. We get to help people live out their dreams every day. I say to my team at Relocity, I said this to my team over at Adobe. We're part of the Dream Factory. And what could be better than to wrap up a workday and say we help somebody live out their dreams, and
I
we get to
love
live out
that.
our dreams as well by just working with folks from all over the world, learning about different cultures and different rules. You can learn. The great thing about our industry is you learn something new every day, whether it's a connection with somebody you've never met or a new compliance obligation or a new regulation. I mean, you literally can have a lifelong learning career in mobility, which is, it's been my goal for, gosh, I've been in the industry for 21 years, to get other people excited about it. I know we've got, masters in HR or organizational development. We should have a master's course in mobility. and we should be working with local universities and other organizations to build out those programs. Because
let's talk
man.
about that, because I want to build that up, because I've heard people say, "Oh, nobody ever said I want to grow up and be in mobility." There's no college course, major for this, although I've seen a couple, programs. Tell me about how that would look. Let's ideate about this a little bit. If you were to put together like a college major or something like that, or a course or whatever, what would that look like?
Well, that's a great question, man. I don't know if we could do a whole 4-year program on mobility, but we could definitely do a mobility 101, maybe a 2. We could do probably 2 or 3 semesters. If you think about, I mean, gosh, you could have an entire semester on just tax compliance. You could, I went to law school, so I did a number of semesters on immigration law, and you could have a full semester on business traveler compliance and all of the rules around that. I mean, it's so complex. I mean, you would start with just what are the basics of relocation? What are the policy components? It's always interesting to look at how programs evolve. And, there's a lot of chatter about the differences between, the West Coast and the high-tech industry and some of the older school programs on the East Coast, biotech or research or manufacturing, or some of the programs that are just very evolved. We have a lot of evolved programs on the West Coast as well, but we just have come at it from a different perspective. And again, I'm not trying to knock anybody. I think just the high-tech industry has been so focused on that employee experience. It's a little bit of a mystery to me to look at some of the companies that we all know and love. We use their services or products every day, and yet they start with these kind of lump sum and managed cap programs.
Is that because of where they are? But is that because of where they are and like their growth, like their growth curve? They're fresh, they're new. So like, what do? Here's $10,000, and then okay, that doesn't work. Let's work on that.
It's a product of. I think it's actually a gap in our ability to coach new folks who are new to mobility, who start as specialists or administrators. In HR, they often get poached from talent, or they're on the recruiting side and they come, or benefits or total rewards, and hey, now you own mobility. Gee, what's mobility? Well, okay, and so it's our responsibility as an industry, as providers and support and mentors, to help these people understand how they tell a better story and really demonstrate the impact of our work. And I think there has been a huge gap on the provider side in bringing that story together. And I think we've seen over the last few years some tighter integration between some of the key service providers. I think there's a long way we can go there. And we can double click into some of that in a moment. But I think
I love that term.
I think we need to double click into that. And I think just as an industry, just before I leave this out, I think just as an industry, we need not just the newbies, but the folks who've been at it forever, have to really, we talk a lot about, let's get our seat at the table. We've had our seat at the table forever. Mobility is an essential piece to any growing organization, just as important as recruiting and attracting and retaining talent. We are an essential component to that life cycle, and we just need to make sure that we've got an executive sponsor who understands and values that. It might be your general counsel, it might be your head of talent, it might be your CHRO. Make sure they know who you are and have a loud voice.
So I'm going to ask you about that. First, I'm going to open this window because I'm getting warm in here. So pardon me. I'm staged right here for
That's
a second.
Your kitchen. What is that? Is that an original Matisse or Picasso in the background?
That is an original Picasso, actually.
Nice. I knew you were a fine art collector. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I copped that when I was in 7th grade, 8th grade, I think. We had a
very sweet.
Picasso came through the Museum of Modern Art.
And is that a real gold chain? Is that from last year's Halloween?
Yeah, that is solid. Solid.
Back in your hip hop days?
14 karat. Yeah. Well, every once in a while there's an 80s party or 90s party or Halloween or Saturday that you just want to wear that. and so,
I like it, man.
Should I rock it today?
Why not? Go grab that, man. I was going to ask you where the tie is. I'm disappointed that I didn't even get a tie. I got a suit coat, but I asked you to wear a bow tie. We had this chat yesterday. There we go. I like it, man. I like it.
All right, we're still having a serious program, though. I just want to know we're still talking about.
No, we're going to talk. We're going to talk, Relo.
All right,
I like to keep it light, but I like to get serious because this is our life work. We're fortunate to be in this space, and I know there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there right now with this COVID-19 outbreak, and we can chat about, what I think the industry is going through and what the outcome will be.
We got to double
Yeah.
click on that in a minute. First,
Okay.
we have to go shout out the people here. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right, let's see. Mary Piper, Ben, if you are home, you can take your jacket off. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that as I got more clothes on just here in the last minute. But I watched a little thought piece on video conferencing and having an executive presence. So I was really trying to deliver that executive presence right now. How am I doing?
You have it, buddy. Yeah. You always have a presence, Ben.
Thank you.
People are attracted to you. That's the one thing I would say about when we first met. We got to know each other in Seattle a few years ago at an ERC. People want to spend more time with you. And I used to have a VP of HR who always said to his team, like, you should leave people when you interact with others, you should leave people feeling like they want to spend more time with you. They want to learn from you. And I think that's the EQ side of what we do. And you've got EQ off the charts, man.
I think I've heard it described also as being like a tail wagger. When you see people, are you excited to see them? Because if you're excited to see them, they're going to be excited to see you.
Yeah.
But it's also got to be genuine. And so I try to find like the piece about people that I absolutely love, and I try to show them that piece back. And I think they like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. You're good at it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Uzi, nice chain. Thank you. Anthony Walmsley, Ben, OMG, sick chain, dude. Thank you so much. That's all the sponsor dollars. I just want you to know where those are going.
The sponsors.
Victoria McCullough.
I hear you're hiking a deal. I can see Vinny from Nike is on. So it looks like he's, you're just waiting to ink that deal with Nike.
We're in some of their gear. Yeah. Well, they say everybody's an athlete, right?
Of course.
Which explains the severe lack of plus-size men's clothes at the company store, just saying. Drew Richards, good afternoon, gents from Relo in Washington, D.C. Kelly Gurin, hey, guys, listening in beautiful Phoenix where it's 84. Wow. David Croft, great idea and overdue. Michael Cadden, Thunderbird. Lynn Greenberg, hi from New York, Pivot app. Hey, Lynn. Speaking of sponsors, appreciate you.
Hey, Lynn.
Nicholas Curtin, hi from San Diego, DSC Network Destination Consulting. Kayla Latson, hi from Atlanta. Kayla from Court, a Berkshire Hathaway company. You really bring out some great people here, William. Olivia Barami, hey guys, stay safe and well. Checking in from Toronto with Prime Communications. Thank you, Olivia. Sean Gilligan, Web Anywhere. Check out watchandlearn.io and sign up for free. Love when people plug themselves. I love it. Stephen Seligson, New York, New Jersey, Malloy Brothers. Anthony Gonzalez from Shift in San Francisco. Good to see these two beautiful faces. Anthony. Appreciate you, Anthony. Katie Linehan. Let's see here. And it's always informative. Appreciate you. Mary Piper, yes, we're here. Kathleen Baker, hi from Dallas. Drew Phillips, two of my faves. Terrell White, haven't seen you in a while. How are you holding up with this? This is a good segue, too.
Yeah.
And, before we go coronavirus, because that's going to take us in a whole nother direction.
Yeah.
And we're going to go there because it's on everybody's mind and we have to think about it and we always have to address it. But I do want to finish, I want to double click into what you were talking about before, William, which is the seat at the table.
Yeah.
Vinny Valverde. What's up, Vinny? Sorry I missed the happy hour yesterday, Vinny. Thanks for inviting me. Invite me to the next one.
I'm still waiting for an invite to that, guys. Apparently low on the list. It's all good. It's coming. We'll have a virtual happy hour. Maybe it could be an 80s dress up.
Yeah, thank you. But no, seriously, so if people want to get a seat at the table, some people don't know this about you, but you were actually on the corporate side. You ran the corporate mobility program for how many years?
Roughly 15 years at Adobe.
Wow, at Adobe. Big company. Yeah. How did you manage to get that seat at the table, to get that key, what did you call them before, a stakeholder or advocate or something internal?
Executive sponsor. You need somebody who's your champion, who understands the value of what you do. And, a lot of it was kind of proving yourself with key hires. There were, not to get too into the weeds here, but, when you have an opportunity to help the talent team bring on an executive or a GM or a country leader or a region leader who is an assignee or is relocating, and you can demonstrate your ability to be flexible and offer some solutions, man, you are going to be the hero for that talent team and that head of talent. They understand the value in what you do, and so some of it is proving yourself and making sure that people understand what you've done for them. And then if you don't have those opportunities, it's finding I like to call them impact stories. We put these together for our clients on a quarterly and annual basis where we gather. We love that stuff. You guys have that as well, I'm sure, Ben, where it's just, clients who reach out and thank you. And you're always watching some of the amazing things that your team is doing. And so if you think about what leaders do, you know what leaders do? Leadership is about doing the right thing when nobody's watching. But sometimes you do need to find a way to pat yourself on the back. And I think we work in a very modest industry in that regard. There's a lot of real modest people in our space who, myself included, it took me years to find the opportunities to pat myself on the back. And it really was a VP of mine who gave me that opportunity and gave me shout outs with his team. And and there you have it, man.
Well, HR is not a horn tooting kind of organization typically. They're not a bunch of people who are kind of in it for the glamour and the glory.
Well, it's true. I mean, HR. God, so many organizations don't even refer to it as HR anymore. It's people success. It's employee experience. It's talent. It's HR is that traditional kind of phrase that or the naming convention for human resources. But God, human resources, man, that sounds like, send me a fax and I'll put it in my filing cabinet somewhere and I'll reference it. Shoot me now, because there's just so much more that we can do. And I think a lot of organizations have seen that it is all about the talent. And it is great to see so many companies and so many clients and partners of ours recognize that under the current crisis, that it's about keeping our clients and our employees and our partners safe and secure and healthy and sane. And I love seeing that. And I know there's a lot of folks going through some really awful times and difficult times. And, as an industry, we are set up for dealing with adversity, just dealing with the complexities of relocation. I mean, that in and of itself is a difficult task. Then you throw on some global pandemic, and it's thrown everybody for a loop, but people are figuring it out pretty quickly. And I know we've gone a little bit sideways on your double click.
Well, I double clicked and then there was like all these pop-ups.
We kind of double clicked and then we sideways clicked. And then, look, I think, I don't have the answer to that because it's different for everyone. But I think the opportunities are there. You work with great partners, bring your partners to the table, because in many respects, it's your partner's obligation to help you tell that story and to demonstrate the impact of your work. And it's not about, for some organizations, it might be, did we save money this year? For many others, it's what was the impact? It's tough to measure the emotional impact that you've made, but you have to.
But I feel like you're saying so many great things, and I kind of want to stop you and just pull some of these out, right? So you said it's kind of like your partner, your service providers, your partners can help you tell those stories.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They tell stories for a living, right? We tell stories about, impact stories or testimonials, whatever you want to call them, right? We tell stories,
Yeah.
And I think, and this is coming from a service provider standpoint, so I'd like kind of to explore both sides of this, right? Because you were on the other side of this. I think I can help people tell these stories a lot, but I'm not often given the opportunity by my clients to help them tell those stories. And maybe that's something you can help me with, William. Like, how do I get them to let their guard down maybe and kind of ask me to help or open up?
Gosh, man, it's a great question. I mean, so you mentioned this testimonials. I would imagine you get a lot of unsolicited feedback from the clients that you support, the transferees, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's more than just thank you. It's more than just thank you. It's
paragraphs sometimes.
You guys, yeah. So I trust you're sharing those with your clients, right? And some clients are like, collect these and send them to me annually or quarterly, or you have to proactively share that with them. And I, my sense is if the clients aren't interested, then I don't know.
So the first step you're saying,
I want to work with clients who understand the value of partnership and can say, let's all work together to win together. Our challenge as service providers And just for everyone who's joined us and who will see this, let's stop calling each other third-party providers. I hate that term. Haven't come up with a better term than
So
third
far,
party.
you hate everything I'm saying, every
No,
piece
I don't hate
of
anything
jargon I'm using. You're like,
think
HR,
there's a lot
really?
of
Service
no.
provider?
I just think there's a lot of old school or terminology that we still
I'm in
use
Detroit,
that doesn't
William.
really reflect. Dude, don't give me the Detroit, San Francisco comparison, because
We don't have people organizations out here. We're still in HR land.
you have people, you have talent, you have employee experience.
I'm just kidding.
I get it.
Right.
You don't have a personnel department. I hope you might still over at the fax factory where they're making fax machines. Look, I don't even know what we're talking about there. Look, I just think there is, as a service provider,
we're talking about telling stories. Telling
it's
stories,
tough
helping people.
because when you are I get it. There are kind of the three legs of the Relo stool, the three primary legs. Let's call them immigration, tax, and Relo. Right? There's no surprises there. I'm seeing my man Michael Quigley reach out and talk about integration. Mike, we're going to get to that. Good call out. Thanks, Mike. But when you're considered a third party provider, it's a challenge that we face. Because first of all, we deal with this terminology that's just so offensive, in my opinion. Why do we call each other third parties? Let's just refer to each other as partner, ecosystem partners, right? Partners in the talent mobility space. We are equally as important, whether you're providing destination services or household goods or language training or whatever it may be. I totally get the fact that there's more pressure on those tax and RMC and tax providers, immigration and tax, excuse me. Maybe there's not more pressure. I don't know. What do you think, man?
I was going to say, have you ever been on the moving side? I mean, talk about pressure.
Well,
I mean,
no, man.
People are yelling at you for 8 hours or 16 hours. Yeah, you're over here, moving furniture, and they're like, basically everywhere you step, they're like, oh, don't walk there. Oh, wait, no, use the bathroom? Oh, I'm afraid not. No, sorry about that. Yeah. Go out there. It's August and it's 110 degrees, and there's a porta potty a block down the street.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
I love
and then that you show up for the pack and loads. You show up for those. I mean, you show up for those key clients because you want to support them, and it's really difficult to pinpoint what are the data points that help tell this story, because it really is a holistic picture. It's about, if I pick out something on the destination side, it's about how quickly did we find them a home? How quickly did we get them out of temporary housing? Did we save any costs for the client in terms of what their expectations were around expenses on destination services, right? And for the family as well, as comfortable as those temporary accommodations can be, they want to get settled in the right neighborhood and in the right schools and in the right home. They want to get started on their long-term life. And, so much of our work on the DS side is really supporting those families, those trailing spouse and trailing kids. Because let's face it, the moment the employee or transferee arrives in the host location, they're off to the work site. They're working 10, 12 hours a day. They're with their team. They're excited about their new opportunity. It's an adventure. They're learning, they're growing. And the family is sometimes left to struggle and figure out, where's the local farmer's market, or the I need to take my dog to the vet. I need an after school program for my kid. And that's where so much of our work comes in. Yeah.
We're getting a lot of input here from people who have opinions about what to call us.
Okay, let's get it. Let's have a chat. Let's figure it out right now. What are we calling ourselves?
Our credentials are in question. Two of the best third-party providers I know. Michael Quigley says virtual karaoke partners, VKPs.
Sign us up for that, for sure.
Yep. Let's see here. Some people are pointing out that my chain could give the U of Miami turnover chain a run for its money. Talent management is what we should be calling our friends on the other side of the table there. Yeah. Let's see here. West Coast is the best coast, apparently. Let's see here. Yeah, right. Extension of a team, Anka.
Nice shout out for the West Coast. Thank you for that. Thanks for taking time.
Anka says extension of the team or the internal team. Let's see. We got some questions too.
Yeah.
You feeling up to taking some questions?
I'm always up for questions, man. I love this, this dialogue around what we can call each other. Let's stop calling each other third-party providers or supplier. It's about partnership. It's always been about partnership. I've had this conversation at ERCs for years. So let's call ourselves partners, ecosystem partners, key members of the talent organization. We're all in it together. And
Yeah.
in so many of
So
the programs we know and love, Ben, they already view it that
is
way.
it internal
And
partners versus external partners? I mean, is that how
that's
you see
totally
it?
fine. Absolutely. Yeah, mobility has key internal partners: payroll, tax, equity, benefits, talent, HR. I know I'm going
Right.
old school on you with that HR
Yeah, we don't
term.
say HR anymore, William.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Detroit's
We
already involved.
yeah, we
What I
just
love about the D.
yeah, threw my fax machine
Nice.
out the window. We don't do that anymore. Let's see here. I want to take a couple of comments here. Okay, so Olivia Bavrami says, Ben, an alternative approach to testimonials is case studies. What better way to show service in action than through a case story? Case stories usually say much more than just how great service is. I'm going to disagree. So yes, I love the point. The difference is testimonials are in the voice of the client. And I
Yeah.
think whenever you can get a client, and I've had several write me letters, even do videos, if you can get a client on video telling you, and it could be in the form of a case study, but in their own words, telling you what happened, what was done, why they were so impressed, why they were so wowed by the service, to me, that is probably the single best thing in your sales toolkit, frankly, that you could ever have. Because I could say things a million times. I could tell you how great we are
Yeah.
or whatever. But hearing a client say it, to me, is phenomenal. So if you could take a case
Sure.
study and have a client narrate that case study in their own words, I think that's a home run. What do you think, William?
I think absolutely, man. One of the things that has been very popular. Uh, I've known a number of organizations that have done this on the West Coast, and I'm sure it's, look, it's not unique to the West Coast. So this voice of the customer, you always want to hear from the customer. So when I was talking about testimonials and feedback, it's not the ones that we get from the survey. The survey data is great. We want to know how we're doing. Want to hear from those folks. But it's really the unsolicited. It's that personal letter that they wrote to you, where they said, Ben, you and your team changed my family's life. You guys came in. You made a difficult situation easy, and thank you. And those are the ones that you want to shine and show in front of your prospects and clients.
I
The
want to put
voice
that
of
on the wall of
yeah,
my
man. Yeah.
office, honestly.
Turn
Yeah.
it into wallpaper, man. Get rid of
Mm-hmm.
that original Picasso. That's worthless. And and put some client testimonials on those walls, because you got a lot of them. The voice of the customer is really more of an exercise. It's kind of a design thinking exercise where you get all your key partners in a room, and you take a look at all the touch points and all of the different communication. I think this is something that we've seen a trend in the industry as well, is really looking at opportunities to reduce the touch points, particularly the ones that are kind of the same, requesting the same information over again. And to this day, you still hear that from the transferees who say, "Gosh, I talked to 5 different people today. I didn't really understand what any of them were doing, and they all asked me for the same thing." Right? And so, there is this opportunity. I still think there's a gap in the industry for a platform that brings together all of those communications and touch points. And again, I know many of our RMC partners are working on that. They rolled out some great solutions there. They continue to look for opportunities to integrate. I just think that there continues to be a challenge and an opportunity as an industry. Now is an ideal time to figure out how we solve that, because when we come out of this little dip that we're in as a result of the virus, I have a feeling things are going to go gangbusters again. And I think I don't know. I'd love to hear from you, Ben. What are you hearing from? That's what I'm hearing from a lot of folks in the industry. Maybe I just surround myself with eternal optimism. But I think you have to stay positive, because the economy was moving along at a nice clip. And then this thing kind of came and threw us all for a loop.
Yeah,
So
well, so you asked kind of two questions, right? First, I'm going to address now's a good time. I think nobody planned for this virus, but if you had 50 IT priorities, and I think every large organization has an enormous backlog in IT, now is the time to dust off those projects you always wanted to do, and you always had so many excuses about how busy you were putting out fires, this and that, and dust off those things, circle the wagons, and knocking off some of those projects and roll into Q3 of this year really strong with all kinds of new offerings, right? Get aggressive, play offense. I hear people talk about playing, people get very defensive, people get very scared, people start furloughing people, companies start tightening the belt, this and that, and I get it. You got to stay afloat. But at the same time, this is an opportunity. To your point, I think it's such an excellent point. I just want to go back and double click on it, triple click on it, and read all the content, because this is the time right now where you can go out and you can take 3 months to put your head down on something and
Yeah.
come out with something that's always needed. And to your point, as an example of this, a lot of talk about ecosystems and APIs and single point of truth and blockchain and things like that, but they're all basically saying the same thing. Like, how do we get rid of double data entry? How do we get people to tell us, our transferees to tell us something once, and then the road rises up to meet them? And it's not necessarily through a single point of contact model, because I think a lot of companies have tried to do that in lieu of technology. They've used a process called single point of contact. I don't think it's that, because that single point of contact is not a subject matter expert on any of the verticals, other than maybe what their policy is. But yeah, how do we get to that? And I think it's through APIs. What I've seen is a majority of the investment in technology in the relocation space is on front end stuff, and stuff that they could sell in a pitch deck to their clients.
Yeah.
And where there's been a dearth of investment is on the back end, and automating the processes on the back end, which are causing all these dissatisfiers, where service providers are asking the same question over and over. Service providers, many of them say, yeah, I have an API, but nobody wants to take my documentation and implement it. Nobody wants to actually take my API and plug it into their system. And RMCs are going to have to basically integrate 50 moving companies and a whole bunch of DSPs and a whole bunch of, and that's a lot of time. But guess what you got right now? You got a lot of time. So like,
Yeah.
I'm 100% on board with what you're saying, William.
Well, I think, look, yeah, API has been the flavor of the month for a few years. Everybody throws it around.
Yeah, but
There
no,
needs
but
to
it's
be a
not here
universal.
yet. That's my thing,
Well,
right? We've
I
been
don't know that
talking
there's
about.
everybody can go create their own APIs for types of integration, and there's a number of providers that have done that with parts of their supply chain. I think as an industry, we need to agree on standards and a language that could be common to all to make those integrations easier. And that's challenging when when there's a lot of companies that compete for the same client dollars. And so, I would challenge our friends at the ERC and other organizations to focus on this. And I think they are. I think that we will hear more. I know they have a new president. Shout out to Lynn. Best wishes to her and her team. And excited to see more on what they do on that front. But I think there in itself lies the challenge, is that you have a lot of folks who sit at the top of the ecosystem. Not to minimize anything that anyone else does, but the reality is yes, you have a lot of our partners in the RMC space, right? They are often running platforms that were developed many years ago, and they haven't spent a lot of time and effort in creating their own platforms or in really investing in future technology. And so really it's not about this is an opportune time, but honestly, so was 6 months ago. So was a year ago. It's always an opportunity.
It's always the right time to do the right
always
thing.
the right
right?
time to be investing in technology solutions and building a model that balances the right mix between technology and human. And how do you leverage that? And so, I mean, look, I saw a couple of nice comments on the feed over here where somebody said, "Hey, we love your, the messaging on your site that says, your first friend on the ground." Yeah, Relocity website will call us, we're your first best friend in a new city, right? But more importantly, we also have a technology component that allows all of the digital natives. Let's face it, the 50, 60, 70% of the workforce are millennial or Gen Z. They are digital natives. They grew their whole life. They have been using, devices since they were 2 years old or 3 years old.
Well, at least their whole working life. Yeah.
They make essential decisions through mobile apps, and whether it's banking or mortgages, or now it's finding homes through virtual tours, etc. As an industry, we need to figure out what are those employee experiences that we can build through technology that also provides for more efficiency. The back end is absolutely essential. It's a whole ecosystem. And I would say, and I think you and I have chatted about this, coming to the supplier side, one of the biggest eye-opening moments for me was the incredible amount of inefficiency that happens on this side. And the fact that the corporates, because when you're a corporate,
you don't know.
It's always sunny and there's always rainbows and it never rains. It's always just like, oh my God. It's not. I'm just, teasing my corporate friends, and I was on that side as well. But what I'm getting at is that there should be more of an opportunity for corporates to kind of live in the shoes of the folks on the supplier side and understand all of the.
I hate that word supplier, by the way. I really prefer external partner.
You know what? I heard somebody talk about that recently. I can't remember who it was. The guy's a genius. You should listen to him.
We're getting some really good. We're getting some. We're getting some good comments. We're getting some good comments. And Vinny, of course, giving you a shout out.
Brother.
Now that I don't care if you call it testimonial, voice of the customer, whatever. That's powerful.
Vinny's a great guy. Who doesn't love Vinny? He's one of the leaders in our industry. Love the guy. Always brings positivity to everything. And that's
what I love about Vinny. He leads with his heart, and I think that leaders that people, gravitate to, or leaders that can galvanize organizations, are leading with their heart and they're putting it out there, right? I do have some comments here that I think are really interesting.
Okay.
And I love comments.
Yeah,
I love comments that start with "disagree, Ben." You always get my attention when you say "disagree, Ben." And this is from one of my best friends too, Brad Hamlin at RAI. Disagree, Ben. True single point of contact service delivery models can provide the single source of communication that transferee is looking for. You just have to make sure you're partnering with the right RMC. Too few RFP requests focus on this.
I would agree and disagree with his comment. So I would agree that the single point of contact can work as long as you are not a single roadblock. As long as you are providing some value to that conversation and moving things forward, versus transferee has a question, it comes to me, and then I have to go out to the local expert. And again, no offense to the fine organizations that we work with take that approach. I do think particularly on the DS side, yes, a single point of contact is critical because you want continuity around narrowing in on the right neighborhoods and the right schools and the right homes and all those other holistic services that we cover, right? But when it comes to project management, I tend to, I don't know, I can see the value in both sides. If you have really skilled consultants who can help move things forward versus being a roadblock, then that single point of contact or coordination could work.
Yeah. So it's single point of contact. Single point of contact is great if you have the information that's being asked of you at your fingertips. My kid's screaming right now. Just got nap time.
Just another time before we hear some screams in the background here as well.
Yeah, I promise we're not mistreating my child. He's 1.5 and confused. But if they have the information they need at their fingertips, otherwise, to your point, a single point of contact can become a single roadblock or bottleneck where it's like, oh, that's a great question, ma'am, sir. Let me find out and get back to you. Let me find out and get back. If you're saying let me find out and get back to you, which is still better than BSing somebody, but if you're saying that too much, that's when you don't have enough back-end integration. I guess that would be what I would say to that.
You're absolutely right, man. And that's where I think having control over that platform, having your own in-house engineering team, and that takes time and resources and investment. And I get it. That the models weren't set up to necessarily invest in those. And again, some organizations really have set aside a lot of commitment, dollars to commit to that, and others I think are struggling to find the opportunities to do so. So, but we had some other questions come in, Ben.
Yeah, we got some questions on LinkedIn here. I want to go through, and there's some comments here. Great to see you, William. Relocity or Relocity is a perfect example of what is needed in the new mobility world. Anka says, and I do want to read her comments because she is a corporate mobility person at Borg Warner. I think the main frustration is when you get the feeling the RMC do not talk behind the scenes. I agree with you. Yeah. So when you get the feeling that maybe they're BSing you or they're just kind of blowing you off and don't actually have the answers you're looking for. Great to see William on here, says Alex Felstead. We will look back at Vieb van Bakkel. hope I got that right. From Vorman says, we'll look back
Yeah.
at 2020 as the year where the architecture of the mobility industry fundamentally changed. Exciting and very much needed.
100% agree. Thank you, eBay.
That's an interesting jump off point. There's so many good. Oh, okay. I'm going to go back through here, and I'm going to read a couple more of these comments. But I want to go back to what is it Weebay? Weebay?
I would butcher it.
Mr. Van Bockel. We're going to go see what Mr. Van Bockel has to say. I want to talk about that and the trajectory.
Let's call him WVP.
There you go.
He's an amazing guy. You should know him if you don't. Awesome guy.
At me, bro. The challenge, William, Brad says the challenge, William, is investing in new technologies. Is very few procurement people want to pay the fees necessary to make that happen. I would say that there's ROI on that, though, and there's a lot of streamlining that can go on with that. And you might actually see a lowering of your costs because it also makes things easier for your external partners because a lot of times we're entering the same information 2 or 3 times as well. Let's see here. We got a few other people. Anand couldn't agree more. We need better standards for electronic exchange for better collaboration. They address the challenge of scalability across all players in the mobility industry. Drew says, I agree with Ben 100%. That's the accurate percentage. Thank you, Drew. Correct answer. Brian Loud, 100%. William, also the accurate percentage. Play offense. Yes, the situation will drive tech solutions, says Brian Loud. Victoria McCullough, we're all vying for a service evaluation from the customer that presents a problem on my side as the coordinator of all service providers because return rate and ranking evaluations are part of my review. And any merit increases by the time mine goes out, asking them to rate everyone there are tired of evaluations.
Can you tell me more about that one?
Who's and then we have a question about an
elephant. On the RMC side, that comment around I want to talk about the elephant in a moment.
That you want to address the elephant in the room?
So my home office and my manager is always teasing me about this.
The other way. There you go.
I work in my kids' playroom, so it's I do have a desk here, but there's probably some dolls down there as well.
I feel like I work in my kids' playroom as an analogy for our lives. That we're here really just to provide for our families.
Well, yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I tell them every day if I got to be locked inside with anybody, I'd rather be them. Those are the folks that I'd want to be with. And yeah, I miss my family, miss my friends, my kids miss all their friends at school. And yesterday I was getting a little choked up because I was missing my mobility family. It's funny because we start the year and we go to these events, and we did have the BAM conference. Which I think was probably the last of the regional events before a lot of them started getting canceled. And we laugh about the fact that we see the same people every week. We're like, oh, I saw you last week in Portland, or we're like, oh, that's my family. And then you don't, and then you go away for a few weeks, and you start to really miss those folks.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I'm missing those folks, and I'm excited. We will get back there. This is I mean, if I had to put a dot on a map, I think we're a couple months away from starting to normalize again. I think that's what I'm certainly not an expert, but everybody I've spoken with in the industry and all the news that we've all paid attention to seems to indicate that we've got a few more months of some real tough times here, but we will hit the apex in different markets and in different cities at different times over the next month or two. And then hopefully come June or July, or if not sooner, things start to normalize again, and we'll probably still have a summer rush. It's going to be delayed by a bit, and maybe it drags on into the fall, which may not necessarily be a bad thing. So the future.
I'm thinking maybe June. I think maybe June 15 as well as a nice.
You're calling it. You're putting a date on it. Wow.
Yeah, I just.
Not going to go with Easter. Easter seems like an ideal. I mean. Great date. It's an amazing day. We get to hunt for eggs, and the bunny comes out.
I'm sorry. I know. I shouldn't laugh at the president of the United States.
Okay, now don't. Is there a president of the U.S. now?
Yeah, there's a guy. Hey, he's a guy.
You got one?
Yeah.
Cool.
There's a guy.
Awesome. We needed one. We needed one for a while. Yeah. So that's good.
There's a guy. Man, I'm gonna get canceled. Don't get me canceled, William. Okay, here we go.
We're not gonna get political. We were gonna talk about. We wanted to talk about kind of where was the industry headed before this, and I think we touched a little bit about it, like kind of and where, and then kind of the challenges we're seeing now, and then where do we go? from here. So I think there was a lot of great stuff happening in the industry over the last few years. We started to see companies, entrepreneurs coming into the space who may have had personal experiences. So Relocity is a good example. Our founder moved with his family from Germany to LA, had a not so great experience on the DS side, and thought we need to create a company that's really focused on the employee experience, more flexible business model, et cetera, right? But we saw a lot of other entrepreneurs who were business travelers and understood the tax or immigration impact and started to create platforms around that. So that's great to see, because I think it's been a long time coming where people started to understand that this mobility industry existed, that it's what do we want to say, $30 billion a year industry globally? I hear different numbers.
I mean, the U.S. moving market, I don't know if you want to call that mobility. The U.S. moving market is 12 billion.
Okay, so that's the U.S., right? So I've heard anywhere from 20 to 30 billion. Pick a number, multi-billions.
Pick a number.
Right? It's a big industry, impacts a lot of big companies and a lot of individuals. So it's great to see some folks coming into the space who have pushed others who've been in the space for many, many years to revisit what they do. And that's never a bad thing for people to say, gee, we've kind of been doing things the same way for 30 years. I wonder if we should change.
Yeah.
Nah, that's crazy talk, Mary. Send me a fax and we'll talk about it next week.
It's never a bad thing for transferees. It's never a bad thing for clients. It can be a bad thing for for the current dominant external partners. But yeah, it's usually a good thing. I mean, that's innovation, right? That's progress.
That's what, if you're not changing, then you're not improving and you're not getting better.
So how has the arc of change changed? So, here we are, okay, it's 2020, everybody's coming in here with our with our big dreams about the future, and it's a new decade. It's a really cool sounding one, and we're going to do a lot of really cool sounding things. And then coronavirus hits. Does it change the arc of that story, in your opinion?
Yeah, it does, man. I mean, there's some obvious changes that have happened just in the last few months and in the last few weeks, right? I mean, first and foremost, everybody is remote. I mean, we were already an agile organization where it was easy for everyone to go work. I always work from home unless I'm traveling. The overwhelming majority of our team was already remote. So I think that was a little bit of a struggle for some companies that were a little like, hey, we all have to be in the office and this is where we work. And now we have to have the equipment and the tools and resources to be successful in this remote workspace. So that was the first, kind of first change on that arc, right? The second one is how does the service delivery model change when you have transferees who are stuck at point of origin or stuck in temporary accommodation or trying to make that decision? So really, I think we're going to start to see more of a focus on pre-decisions, and a lot of the evolved mobility programs already do that, pre-decision trips, and there'll be more integration between the DS and immigration and tax and some of those gating issues to help employees get over that hurdle to make that decision. I think there's a lot of chatter that the long-term impacts of Corona are this whole workplace is going to be, everybody's going to go remote. People don't want to move anymore. I tend to disagree there. Maybe it's because, again, I'm an optimist around the future of our industry, but people are going to still want to move. They still want those adventures. Those are growth opportunities. They still want to get jobs with new organizations. And there's a lot of value with working next to a team.
So I'm gonna challenge this.
Yeah?
I'm gonna argue both sides. I'm gonna argue both sides of this, right? One, you're working from home right now, heading up strategy for a company.
Partnerships, yeah.
Partnerships, strategic partner, sure.
Yeah. A little above, yeah.
Every label I use is incorrect.
You're good, buddy. I don't mean to correct you.
No, it's really fine. It's really fine. So anyway, but no, you're a leader. You're a leader, but you work remotely. So here you are. I mean, 20 years ago, that probably wouldn't be the case. So aren't you kind of proving maybe that remote work is more acceptable now than it ever has been? And wouldn't more people, I mean, if you could avoid the cost of relocating, wouldn't you do that? Or wouldn't most companies do that? I mean, they've already showed a propensity to do it by heading towards lump sums and lowering cost and cost containment and all this stuff. I mean, there's no greater cost containment than $0, right?
Well, I think there is still a lot of value in understanding the culture of the company, and I think the culture shines through um, in those locations and those offices and the people and the benefits and the city that you've adopted as your home, your headquarter base. And yeah, so I think, you know, look, I know there's plenty of engineering teams that have remote workers as well, but I think if you're on certain creative teams or engineering teams or even finance groups, I think there is a tremendous amount of value that still comes from working in an office. I mean, I did it for many, many years, so I had that. We had lots of fun. I loved working with my teammates, and if I didn't have that opportunity, I'd want it now. And so my role just happens to be that I work remote. I certainly go visit our headquarters in LA many times. I see our team in the Bay Area. I'm out on the road a lot before this virus hit, but so that's just kind of the setup that we took for me because of the flexibility I needed around traveling
Yeah.
and really my role. So
Now I'm gonna argue the other side of it, right?
okay,
Because
go
I
for
think
it, buddy.
this has been an emerging epiphany for me,
Yeah,
right? Because I think going into 2020, we're like, oh crap, we're all gonna be doing WebExes, and now it's Zooms, and it's kind of funny how this is
mhm,
even changing, right?
totally, man.
And so I kind of like went into this year thinking, oh crap, right? And then this happens, and we're all forced to work from home, and now I'm realizing how challenging it is, right? I got kids that are little and they're crying and beating each other up, and
Totally.
you know, there's complex assassination attempts daily, you know, and so that I have to
That's just
thwart,
from your wife, man. Jesus.
yeah, and that's just
You
my
need,
wife
you
trying
need
to
to
get
talk.
after me. I
You
mean,
need to talk to her.
that's just my that's just her getting a life insurance policy. So anyway, no, but so it's challenging. It's not super viable. And then the other thing I'm thinking is if you have mid-level junior people, how do you get ahead in your organization if you're remote? Usually, getting ahead is a lot of times it's through networking. A lot of times it's through osmosis of information and experiences, and it might be some discretionary work before 9 a.m. and after 5, and at
Yeah.
lunchtime special projects and these like kind of things that materialize. When you just go hang out in somebody's cubicle and say, "Hey, what if we tried this? And what if we did that?" And hey, I know John's not gonna like it, but let's mock this up and see what let's present it to Bob and see if we can get buy-in. I mean, all that kind of stuff that goes on, that's kind of unofficial or casual, that goes on.
Yeah.
That stuff is invaluable,
It
and
really is, man. So many of those great ideas pop up from a conversation at the water cooler or the people still have water coolers. They should if they don't.
I
Um,
think water cooler. By the way, water filtration I think is at an all-time high. Actually,
okay, good. It
single-use
should be
plastics are out. Nobody
good.
trusts the water, especially people in Michigan. So yes, I think water cooler is where it's at.
You guys have had some water issues, that's for sure. Look, so many great ideas come there's I think as much as we love the virtual happy hours and the virtual meetings, and we've all been on it for years, and honestly more so over the last few months here, but there's a lot that to be said about a brainstorming session that happens in a room with your closest colleagues or your teammates. There's just so much that happens in the warmth of that connection between people, and I tend to think that that's never going to go away. Yeah, we'll start to see more of a shift towards some remote workers. Maybe we'll see an increase in short-term assignments as people want to connect with those teams. But it really is hard to demonstrate. God, it's if you start as a remote worker and your whole life is a remote worker, and you've never had that chance to engage, then you're missing out on an opportunity to really get to know your team on a more personal level. And I think that's just super important. And I'm fortunate that I spend a lot of time with my teammates. I spend time with the headquarters. I spend time on the road with my teammates. I spend time with our hosts. I get to know our area ops managers. I mean, that's important for me because I want to know their work they're doing. I want to give them shout outs. I want to be able to go back to the clients and say, we have the best team in the business, and these guys are doing incredible work, and show them some of those impact stories that we gather, right?
For sure.
So I don't know, Ben. We can agree to disagree. That the future will tell us, right, how this thing all shakes out.
Yeah, I don't
But
know. I don't know what the future holds. And I've also had an epiphany this morning that I'm going to stop trying to predict the future, because the problem with trying to predict the future, no, let me be serious, 'cause I tend to be a futurism type of person, and I'm always looking out and I'm trying to think what's the next big thing, because I want to get there first and laugh at everybody who's not there and charge them extra, right? But I decided I'm not going to be a futurist anymore, because when you're a futurist and you're always looking towards the future, you wait to find out if you're right or not, and you can't think about the future too much, and you can't look towards the future, because then you find yourself waiting to see if it actually happens and
yeah,
watching the ball instead of going after it. And so I think it can be paralyzing,
truly,
you know. And
truly, man.
I'm just gonna react more and trust my instincts on these things. We don't have much
Well,
time because I know William's
can,
got a hard
I'm going to give
stop
you
coming
one.
up.
I do have in a few minutes, but just really quick on that futurist point. We had a futurist who spoke at the BAM conference. He was our keynote speaker. For the life of me, I can't remember the guy's name. We can shoot it out afterwards. If you go to the mybam.org website, you can find his name. He's also the futurist for the Corporate Housing Providers Association. He was incredible, one of the best keynotes we've ever had. But just one of the key takeaways I would say from his presentation was, it's not just about thinking about tomorrow. He talked about the Übermorgen, which is a German phrase, and I work for a brilliant German. That really means it's about the tomorrow after tomorrow. It's about what happens after tomorrow. So you need to be focused on the next 1 to 3 years, but also the next 5 to 10 years. And Ben, you touched on a couple of things that I know are kind of scary prospects for people. That idea of automation and artificial intelligence and blockchain, and what are the impacts in our industry. We are absolutely going to see those impact our space. There's a lot of great companies already working on bringing AI and automation to some of their back office operations. If you think about processing billions of dollars in flow through expenses, or even expense reports that happen on the RMC side, gosh, a lot of that stuff can be automated. Why would you keep hiring more and more humans? It's expensive. No offense, we love humans. But again, there is such an
Some of
opportunity.
my favorite people are humans, William.
Yeah, me as well. They're the best and the worst. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, man. We can take another question if you want. I don't
Yeah,
know if you touched
let's
on
take
anything.
one more here, because we got a few people that are still chiming in. We've got some great
Yeah.
engagement. People have hung around and stuck through our crazy double clicking. We got Natasha Sittner, Drew Phillips, Brian Rivers, Sandra Clary, Farrah McCown. Let's
Of all
see
those
here.
people, thank you
I
guys.
know, which one do you love the most? We only have time for one.
They're all tied for number one.
All right. Okay. Let's see here. Natasha. Natasha says there are certainly teams. Okay, this is more of a comment. There are certainly teams who cannot work remotely, but the current situation has challenged the way we think of remote work, and all of this is going to impact the relocation landscape. What providers we use or need, and the role of mobility professionals in terms of our knowledge and skills. Food for thought. Thank you, Natasha, sitting
Yeah.
in talent, mobility, and people operations at Illumina. Don't comment on that. I got questions for you. Drew Phillips, don't wait, never wait, be the ball. Brian Rivers, this was awesome, gentlemen. Thank you for the input. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. I'm getting to know Brian a little bit virtually.
Great
Sandra
guy.
Clary, I'm a fan of the flexibility of working remote, but one of the great benefits of being in an office together are the unpredicted epiphanies and synergies that arise from being present, hearing, or observing something, and being able to jump in with solutions.
100%
Fantastic
agree.
comment.
Sometimes you hear a conversation happening between two colleagues in a might be your department, might be, and that it's impacting your work, or you can offer some advice. So those kind of ad hoc things that happen in an office setting, you cannot get them virtually, and there's tremendous value to a company in
And the
those
people
ideas.
and the people operations and talent management people have to be aided in telling that story, right? Because it's how we frame these circumstances. Because here we are, we're all working from home, and there's going to be an impulse on the part of CFOs and COOs saying, "Well, gosh, couldn't we cut real estate costs? Couldn't we cut relocation? Couldn't we and work more remotely?" And we have to be able to articulate the value and the soft cost and soft opportunity of being able to work and collaborate as a group in traditional settings, I think.
Could not have said it better myself, Muddy. Absolutely, 100% agree.
Man,
100% thumbs up on that one, Ben.
100%
Nice.
thumbs.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few months, man. I mean, look, there's always these macro shifts,
Hmm.
and most importantly, as an industry and as a service provider, you need to be ready for those. I think there is going
Yeah.
to be we are going to see more consolidation over the next few years, maybe in the next few months, as a result of this. We are going to see some smaller regional players or players that are just isolated in one market, who are going to struggle getting through this. And maybe there's an opportunity for mergers or combining forces there. There's so many great companies in our space, partners of the ecosystem, if you will. I almost said suppliers.
Don't say the S word. It's a family show.
No, the S word. So,
William, this has been great. Any final
thank you,
thoughts you
Ben.
want to leave people with?
I would just say, Ben, thank you for leading a conversation and being a leader in our space. For me, it's about the employee experience. It's always been about the employee experience. And as an industry, we need to be looking at opportunities to provide solutions there. And I think we're getting better there. We've always done it well. We've always made a very complex process look easy. But there's definitely, given the shifting needs of the consumer and what their expectations and their experiences outside of the workplace are, those experiences in the workplace, particularly with their talent ecosystem partners, need to mirror those experiences. And we've got we've got some opportunities there to improve. But that's the exciting stuff, right? So we get to work on every day.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
takeaways that I have from this conversation: help your clients tell stories better and just be a better storyteller.
yeah,
Let's look at the labels that we use for our relationships with one another,
yeah.
because they do frame the whole interaction here. And invest in technology, and invest right now in this. I won't call it a downturn. I'll call it a cheap. It's a cheap time right now. Okay, because everything's going to be at a discount. If you're looking at
Yeah.
acquisitions, it's going to be a discount. If you're looking for new talent, they're going to be at a discount. Everything's at a discount right now. Warren Buffett said, he said, "Be greedy when people are scared. Be scared when people are greedy." Right. And right
Totally.
now, the
There's
market is at a low price. So buy and invest, and move with certainty, trust, and confidence. And thank you, William, so much being with
Thank
us
you,
today.
Ben.
I really
Appreciate
appreciate
the
it.
time to chat. I always love our conversations, man. Call me anytime, brother. Love
Right
what you're
on.
doing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ben. Thanks
Appreciate
for
you.
all who